Well, good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm here to talk to you about two very scary subjects. The first is lymphoma, and the second is my underwear. We will spend more time on lymphoma, so rest assured. We can really divide my life into two eras. The first is the BC era, which stands for before cancer. That lasted up till about 2006. I was in the middle of a successful novel writing career. Here I am with my lovely wife and daughter at an author photo shoot. Unfortunately, 2007 brought the AD era, which is after diagnosis, when a routine scan uncovered that I had follicular non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that's something of a tongue twister. For that, we can blame my liver. I went in for my annual checkup. My doctor said, you know, I think you have just a fatty liver because of these enzymes. Let's do a scan, probably no big deal. Good news was my liver was perfectly fine. Bad news was I had lymphoma. So of course I naturally went to Google right away, and I searched for lymphoma survival rates, which was a very bad thing to do because after looking at about the first 5 results I had to change my lucky underwear. But at that time I knew I needed to find a treatment. I needed to find a treatment that worked for me, so I went through several steps. I actually saw 5 different oncologists, mainly because I got 5 different opinions on what I should do. There was no real consensus on what sort of treatment I should have. By now we all know I'm a Google junkie, so I went right back to the same place, started looking at treatments, started researching. There was a treatment that appealed to me from the very beginning that had a great geek factor. And it was a nuclear-based medicine called Bexar, and it's really cool. You get antibodies injected into your bloodstream. Those carry radioactive particles attached to the lymphoma cells. You become radioactive for a period of 2 weeks. And I love the idea of this because we know that radioactivity leads to superhuman powers. So showing up for my treatments, I immediately dressed in my Green Lantern t-shirt, knowing that I would have superhuman powers at just about any time at that point. And of course, I think the other part of the uniform is the aforementioned lucky underwear. The operation theme seemed very apropos, and I knew there would be no harm befalling me wearing these bright orange beauties. And the other thing that we really need to keep in mind when we're talking about superheroes is you need a sidekick. Well, first off, I never miss an opportunity to have my photo taken with one of my books. But then my sidekick was glowworm, and because I was radioactive, I glowed for a period of a couple of weeks as well, so glowworm was a good sidekick. Good news, by January 2008, I had clear abdominal scans. I was officially declared in remission and cancer-free. Immediately, thank you. I wanted to mark that occasion, so I first started running and completed my first half marathon, which I know all of you are saying, of course, he's a distance runner, he looks just like one. But I have to say I finished because my wife did barbecue 5 pounds of ribs, and those were waiting at the end of the finish line. I did have a few changes other than running that I went through, and so if you're in the midst of a challenge, a life-threatening diagnosis, hopefully there's a few things I can impart that I learned from the whole experience. And first is, when it's your battle, you need to lead the charge. I think too often we go out and we ask an expert for their opinion, and then we blindly do what they tell us to do. I think we need to collect data from several sources, make our own decisions, make our own choices. Second is the whole idea of labels. From the beginning I was labeled the cancer victim. And you know, I don't want cancer to define me. I'm T.L. Hines, I'm an author, I'm a smartass, I'm a geek, but cancer is just a condition that I face. That's not a label for me. Next is the idea of statistics, and how statistics don't really say what we think they say. Do yourself a favor, go online and find an article by Stephen Jay Gould called "The Median is Not the Message." It will change the way you look at statistics. And finally is the whole idea of perspective. You know, when I look at this picture, at first I see a rabbit. And so when I looked at my diagnosis, I thought, of course this sucks. This isn't fair. Why did this happen to me? But if I look at that same picture from a different perspective, I can see that maybe it looks like a really ugly duck. And so if I looked at my situation from a different perspective, I thought, this is a chance for me to make some changes, to be a better person, to let the people around me know how much I love them. That's a conscious choice and a conscious decision. It's what I did. It's what I hope you would do. Thank you for listening. And in case anyone is wondering, yes, I'm wearing lucky underwear this evening.